Hello chess friends and welcome to Jozarov chess channel and welcome to a very special game that I prepared for you today. It's Stockfish 15 versus Leela C0 in a new chess variant that we haven't seen so far. Let me introduce to you a really beautiful chess variant. Today we'll see the so-called Drawkiller chess, and the Drawkiller chess is actually a variation of Fischerrandom chess of chess 916, but with a different setup. Usually when we play Fischerrandom chess, then you have for instance a symmetrical position. For instance, the king here is on a1, then your opponent has also here the king on the symmetrical position. He has the king, for instance, on a8. So that's, I think, a really cool method. The Fischerrandom chess I really love to play, but here in this Drawkiller chess, the position is asymmetrical. The kings are on opposite sides. You see we have here a perfect asymmetry. The kings are on opposite side of the board, and the beauty about this chess variant that you will see immediately the so-called opposite side attack game. For instance, you can see many times the opposite side attack game in Sicilians, where white is castle queen side, black is castle king side, and then you are trying to attack your opponent's king immediately. You have a fast attack, and then the game becomes many times really wild with the opportunities for both sides. And that's the beauty exactly about this Drawkiller chess, because immediately you see white will coordinate the attack simply on the king side, will attack here on the flanks, and black will also try to attack the queen side, and who is faster on the attack will, as I said, probably win the game. And that's really beautiful because look at this, we have already here sort of a tension in the center of the board where the rook is aiming towards the queen. Of course, also black's rook is also aiming towards white's queen, so it's already a tension in the center of the board, but we have already the kings on opposite sides. So as I said, it will be a dynamic game for sure, as also the chess variant itself says. It's really Drawkiller chess. So let's see now how this two best engines, the Leela C0 and Stockfish, handled this chess variant, this beautiful variation of Fischerrandom chess. So here Stockfish opened with the move e4, which is of course perfectly fine. Leela C0's response was here the move e6, sort of a French defense setup. Here we cannot really call it the French defense, but the structure is already like in the French defense. So we have here d4, d5, and now we have knight to d2 by Stockfish 15. It's now the so-called Tarrasch variation of the French defense. Of course, if you play something like knight to c3, then you could go maybe into similar structures like in the Vijlbrief variation. But okay, here after move knight to d2, we have bishop to e7, and now e5. So we have again this blocked pawn structure in the center of the board. Obviously, white is, as we already said in the beginning of the video, white will coordinate the attack towards the king side, will eventually play h4, g4, h5, g5, and similar stuff, will simply attack black's king, and also, as promised, black will also play c5, b5, and similar stuff, will simply attack the queen side. The pawn structure is blocked. Now there are no further tensions here in the center of the board, so far white's queen and black's queen are not endangered immediately. So here in the continuation we have c5, like in the normal French, attacking immediately here this side of the board. We have c3, we have knight to c6, and now bishop to d3. Here Leela C0 played bishop to d7, and here maybe an opportunity was here for white to immediately to take out the pawn on c5. This would be, I think, a little bit real release of the pressure in the center of the board. But after move bishop to d3, Stockfish invites now Leela C0 maybe even to take out the pawn on d4. But after c takes d4, c takes d4, okay, you could maybe play here this idea, knight to b4, or you could play the move knight to d4. This wasn't played in the game, but I was really curious why Leela C0 didn't take out the pawn on d4. Here, for instance, a possibility would have been knight to b4, bishop to b1, and now with queen to c7, here Stockfish should probably develop. And here after knight to c2, bishop to c2, queen to c2, okay, we can say white got rid of this light for bishop. Black actually took out a very powerful piece, but we have to say the bishops in these types of blocks pawn structures are not so important. So even if Leela C0 would have gone for this variation, I'm not sure if this would be such a great thing, especially because of this blocked out light for bishop that's always present. Still, with this bishop and here with this knight, maybe also with h4, h5, with this knight on f4, white could have really some fun. White could have really a dominant position on the king side. So as I said, it's not so easy to play the game. Let's see, let's go back. Instead of this move knight to b4, you could also play knight takes d4, but I don't think that this is so good for black, because look at this, you play knight to f3, knight to f3, knight to f3, Okay, black gained the pawn, but look at this now. This attacking formation is really beautiful for white. White is aiming here with 3 minor pieces already towards the king side, has still the opportunity to launch a flank attack here with h4, h5. This is a dominant pawn on the 5th rank, which creates also a space advantage for white. And as I said, the light square bishop of blacks is always a problem in the French, so you basically playing without the piece immediately, so it's not, I think, such a good position here for black. So as I said, after move bishop to d3, Leela c0 didn't want to take this pawn on d4, simply developed the piece, bishop to d7. Look at this, is trying now to include the bishop into the game. Is it trying now also to launch immediately a flank attack here on the queen side? So as I said, I'm not sure which one is better, but this was simply Leela c0's choice. So now Stockfish releases the pressure a little bit in the center of the board, plays d takes c5. We have now b6. This is now an interesting idea by Leela c0, but that's exactly how you play opposite side attack games. When you have kings on opposite sides like this, or when you are trying to attack your opponent's king immediately, then you don't count pawns, because what you want to do is just open files, open diagonals against your opponent's king. So that's why with the move b6, Leela c0 is saying take the pawn, but now then maybe the a file will be opened. Let's see, if you take for instance c takes b6, a takes b6, now look at this, the a file is open, the queen could come into the game, the bishop can come into the game. Now suddenly I think black is taking over, is slightly faster maybe in the attack. I'm not sure if this is a better position for black, but I'm saying that actually black is already there. Black is at least attacking white's king immediately. So as I said, this is really maybe a playable position then for black. So that's why after move b6, Stockfish is saying I will not open the a file for you, I'll just develop the piece. Here Stockfish plays knight to f3, we have b takes c5, and now h4 immediately. So you see how Stockfish didn't want to grab just some pawns. Stockfish developed a piece and then launched the flank attack immediately. So here f5 was played by Leela c0. This is also many times in the French defense a common method for black to create a blocked pawn structure on the king side, is trying really to block out the position. If the position stays like this with a solid pawn structure, then black could solve many positional problems on the king side, could actually defend the position on the king side, but the white has then maybe some problems here on the b file when the rook comes into the game, maybe when the queen comes into the game, maybe when the bishop comes into the game. So then actually black could take over. So that's why Stockfish is saying I will open the position. E takes f6, we have knight to f6, and Stockfish continues the pressure here with the move knight to g5, is now trying to attack here also the pawn on e6. So in the continuation we have now here queen to c7 by Leela c0. Leela is saying okay, take the pawn, but after knight to e6 still queen to b6 is possible. Okay, white gained the pawn, but there is now really this tension on the e file, so that's why it's not so good here now for white to take out the pawn immediately. So that's why after move queen to c7, Stockfish again is saying I don't care for pawns, I just want to have a better activity with my pieces. And that's, I think, a perfect example of some mistakes that we make in chess games. We just want to grab a pawn and get the best out of it. Sometimes really piece activity is much more important than just one pawn. That's why this this move, the next move by Stockfish 15, really makes sense. We have here now f4. This is really a beautiful move because it opens simply here now the position. We can play the knight to f3. We can maybe include also this knight into the attack. We can maybe cement the position further around the square e5. When knight to f3 happens, then also this bishop is liberated. So that's why here, as I said, it's not so important to take some pawns, it's just important to improve your position. So we have here king to g8 by Leela c0. We have knight to f3, and look at this, white's pieces are already dancing. These two knights are very dangerous. Bishop is here, this bishop is aiming, queen very active, rook is supporting this pawn on the h file. Already a messed up position, I think, for black. So we have here now bishop to d6 by Leela c0. This is a good move. Of course, we're attacking now here the pawn on f4. What my Stockfish engine at home suggests as a good move is this move, c4 for black, where basically white needs now to retreat on c2, and now maybe bishop to d6 would be slightly more accurate for black. At least black gained sort of a space advantage here on the queen side, but Leela c0 played now bishop to d6 immediately, attacked now simply the pawn, and now Stockfish plays a beautiful knight sacrifice. We have here a similar Greek gift tactic, like sort of, because look at this, what you do now, you have to make now reaction after move knight to h7. We have knight takes h7, we have bishop to h7, king to h7, and now knight to g5. And this is really brilliant because look how black has sort of a lack of coordination with the minor pieces. Black's pieces are active, but they're simply too far away from the action. They are on the queen side, and now white is taking over here. Look at this, the king is naked. The king doesn't have so many defenders in front of him, so that's why now white is storming simply towards the king. Really beautiful Greek gift tactic here by Stockfish 15. Now the king has to move. We have king to g8, and now queen to e2. The queen is now coming here on h5. When that happens, then we have also some checkmate threats here on h7. So that's why here bishop to e7, trying to get rid of this very annoying knight. This knight is very powerful. We have here queen to h5 anyway, bishop to g5. Now Leela c0 got rid of a very important attacker. We have h takes g5, and now Leela c0 is trying to escape. Leela is trying to get this route, king to e7, king to d8, maybe king to c8. If that happens in a good way for black, if now white doesn't make something out of this attack, then black will win this game for sure. So that's why Stockfish plays now a beautiful move f5, and this move opens the e-file, where Stockfish is basically not allowing black to escape here on the e-file. What also Stockfish is trying to do is include also the bishop into the game. If bishop to f4, for instance, happens in a good way, then it's perfectly fine for white. So far, of course, this move is not possible because the queen is standing here, but as I said, as a long run, bishop to f4 could be also a nice opportunity. So that's why f5 is a beautiful move. Let's see, if you play, for instance, rook to e1 immediately, then black is simply getting out. You play f5 and now king to d8, and I think this is game over for white. Black has an extra piece, secure the king now, and okay, maybe white still has maybe some opportunity with f6, but as I said, this is, I think, a position that black can hang on to. So here in the continuation, as we said, f5, we have e takes f5, and now g6, and this is now a beautiful threat because Stockfish is trying now to play bishop to g5, cutting off this very important square for the king. So now the king could not escape on e7, and then Stockfish is trying, of course, to deliver checkmate here on h8. So that's why bishop to e6 played by Leela c0, trying to at least again to create some kind of a path for the king. We have here g4 by Stockfish 15, again trying to open a new file because now the f file could be a really good continuation here for white. We have king to e7, we have a rook to e1. Look how both of these rooks are storming now towards the king. Bishop will come into the game. We have here this opportunity. G takes f5 is also a stunner, so already black has a bad game here. So king to d7, Leela c0 is trying to escape finally with the king, but it's not working. We have g takes f5, bishop to g8, and now f6. This is really beautiful because now the queen is going to f5 and will create a beautiful check. So we have here a g takes f6. If you don't react, if you play something like king to d8, then of course rook to d5, for instance, could happen. Look at this, rook to d5, queen to d5, and now the king has to move, and now we play simply rook to e8. It's game over here for black. So as I said, this simply is not working. If you try to cover yourself here, then it's rook to e8, you have to take out with the king, and now a queen to g8 leads into a forced checkmate sequence. So this is again not working here for black. So as I said, this is really stunning how with the move f6, Stockfish opens now the position for sure. This knight is still a good defender in front of the king, but it's again sort of misplaced. This rook is not playing in the game. You see how important it was to play very actively with the pieces in the beginning. Now with the move f6, as we said, the position gets opened. Here Leela c0 took, g takes f6, but now comes this very annoying check. We have here queen to f5, the king has to move. If you try to cover yourself. We here to move rook, bishop to e6, then you get rook to d5. This is not working. You cannot take because of this tension here, so it's again game over. You have to step back, then you lose the piece here on e6, so it's again not working. So after move queen to f5, we have king to d8, rook takes e8, queen takes e8, and now queen to f6. The queen is coming very active into the game. We have knight to e5, and now queen to f5 here by Stockfish 15, where Stockfish is now trying to play rook to e1 and will eventually take out the knight. So this is not working. Leela C0 tried knight to d7, bringing again a new piece into the defense, but now Stockfish creates this check. We have king to d8, queen to g5, again a new check, now again a new check, and look how Stockfish calculated everything here. This is really brutal. Rook takes g8, but now queen to d5 with the beautiful fork, and this is simply game over now for black. So everything so well calculated by the Stockfish 15 engine. Really wild stuff what happened here. You see the tactic spread all over the board. Now the rook came finally into the game, but it's lost anyway. So now after move queen to d5, Leela C0 tried to defend the position with queen to c6. Now a new check. We have king to a6, and now finally Stockfish grabbed the rook and now has a completely winning endgame because of this extra pawn here on the g file. So we have knight to f6, queen to f7, knight to h5. Stockfish pushed the pawn further. Leela C0 has to react, cannot stop the pawn, has now to give up the knight for the pawn. Queen takes g7. Now queen to h1, trying to take out the bishop, but now with bishop to h6 a check, Leela C0 is forced to trade off the pieces, and this is now a completely a lost game now for black. So after a couple more moves, Leela C0 resigned, so the game was over. We have here an extra pawn, we have the bishop, and it's game over for black. So really stunning game. I really love this variant where you can maybe practice opposite side attack games, where you can practice attacking your opponent's king. I think maybe this is not something that we'll see in tournament games or something, but in order to study your attacking skills, I think this Drawkiller chess sort of, it's a good method to practice if you want to maybe get better in attacking chess in opposite side attack games. This is something worth the study for sure. So okay, I hope that you enjoyed this game. I really enjoyed it a lot because it was something new, and especially a sick engine like Stockfish 15 uses this variant in order to destroy its opponents. Really nice tactical shot on h7. We have seen really a beautiful great gift tactic. If you want to see more attacking games like this, check out my commented chess games played by computer series with some more games played by Stockfish 15, Alpha 0, Leela 0, Drawing Engine, and many more. And if you like this content, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. See you soon with some more videos, and what to say, chess is the best, of course.